Funny how you can spend 2 decades with someone and still not see it coming. Or maybe you do. You just convince yourself it's nothing. A headache. A long day. A few late nights at the office. You start brushing aside your gut like it's some kind of jealous roommate. You give the benefit of the doubt until there's none left to give. That was me. The understanding husband. It was our 20th anniversary, and I wanted to make it count. Not just flowers and some frozen lasagna. I mean something real. I booked a rooftop dinner, view of the city skyline, wine, the works. Figured maybe, just maybe, it would shake us out of the monotony we'd been dragging through. Marriage wasn't broken, per se. Just stale. She'd been distracted, and I'd been patient. I thought we were just in a rut. She texted me around 4:15 p.m. Migraine. Can't do dinner tonight. I'm so sorry. I stared at the screen longer than I should have. 20 years in, and that was it? No call? No apology beyond those 8 words. No, let's reschedule. Just a migraine and radio silence. Still, I believed her. God help me, I actually believed her. I called the restaurant, canceled the reservation. Told them to charge the cancellation fee to my card. What's another $100 down the drain when your marriage is circling it anyway? I reheated leftovers and sat on the couch, scrolling through channels like a ghost in his own house. The living room was quiet, sterile. No trace of a celebration. Not even a card on the counter. Then it happened. At 7:38 p.m., I got a ping on my phone, a notification from one of those social media apps I barely use. Some friend had tagged her in a photo. It was a selfie at some downtown bar. A low-lit kind of place where the music's loud, and everyone's too busy pretending to be happy to notice their lives falling apart. There she was, standing shoulder to shoulder with him, her colleague. That smug, dress shirt unbuttoned down to the chest marketing type I'd heard her mention a few times. She was laughing. Not polite laughter. Not the kind she gave me when I'd make dad jokes over dinner. No, this was full-bodied, head thrown back. I haven't laughed like this in years kind of laughter. The caption said, "Friday vibes with the best company, work hard, play hard." And just like that, the migraine was cured. I didn't yell, didn't storm out. I just stared at that photo until my hand stopped shaking. Something clicked in me. Not rage, not yet. Something cleaner. Like a switch got flipped, and the fog I'd been wading through for years finally lifted. I stood up, walked into our shared office, opened our joint savings account. 20 years. Birthdays. Anniversaries. Late nights working overtime so she could find herself through 2 career changes and a 6-month yoga retreat. I transferred every last cent into a private account I'd set up months ago. Not because I expected this moment, but because something deep inside had told me, be ready. Then I packed 3 suitcases, 1 duffel bag, left the house key on the coffee table, and walked out. No confrontation, no explanations, just silence. The kind she perfected over the last few years. I figured I'd return the favor. The next few days were blissfully quiet, until the messages started. Where are you? Please call me. It was just drinks. It didn't mean anything. Sure it didn't. But my favorite? Where did all the money go? I didn't respond. Not because I couldn't, but because I didn't need to. People think revenge is loud. They think it comes with screaming, broken plates, late-night confrontations. But the most brutal kind? It's quiet. Surgical. The kind that leaves no fingerprints but echoes for years. After I walked out, I didn't go far. Rented a small condo downtown under an alias I'd used once when freelancing. Clean. Empty. No photos. No memories. Just 4 walls and a view of the skyline, the one we were supposed to be gazing at that night, together. I watched the city lights alone and let the silence do its work. Every time my phone lit up, I'd glance at her name, swipe it away, and go back to my scotch. She started calling around day 3. That's when panic must have set in. I ignored every ring. By day 5, I got a long text, one of those multi-paragraph monologues where someone tries to write their way back into your heart like it's a Hallmark script. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just needed to feel alive again. It was drinks, nothing else. Please, come home. We can fix this. The gall. Feel alive again? What was I, a cardboard? Did the mortgage payments, the late-night grocery runs, the loyalty through years of her career hopscotch not count as proof of life? But I didn't reply. I didn't even flinch. Instead, I reached out to a different number, Eric, an old buddy from college who'd become a divorce attorney. A ruthless one. Need you to draft papers, I said. I want it done fast, clean, and with enough barbed wire to make sure she never even dreams of touching what's mine. He didn't ask questions. Eric knew my tone. That same day, I contacted our financial advisor, who, bless him, owed me more than a few favors. I had him reallocate all our investments to separate holdings in my name only. We never had a prenup. She thought love made us bulletproof. Turns out it just made her careless. By the end of the week, she sent another text. You can't just take everything and disappear. That's not how this works. Oh, but it is. When the game changes, the rules do too. I stopped checking my phone after that. Let her stew. Let her sit in the empty house with all her curated decor and realize the one thing missing couldn't be bought with a trip to Pottery Barn or fixed with a faux apology. I spent those early days revisiting old things, reading books I hadn't touched in years, cooking real meals for one, finding my breath again in the absence of her. And then I got the email. Not from her. From him. The colleague. The walking cliché in a tailored suit with just enough cologne to fog a room. Somehow, the bastard found my personal email. Hey man. We didn't mean for this to happen. I think you deserve to know that she's hurting too. I nearly laughed myself off the damn chair. He thinks I deserve to know? After 20 years, I deserved a lot more than his limp excuse and her drunken infidelity in a downtown bar. So I wrote back just one line. Tell her I said thank you for reminding me what silence is worth. Then I blocked them both. When people think about betrayal, they picture some grand event. A confrontation. A chair thrown across the room. A tear-stained apology that comes too late. But the real damage? It's quiet. It seeps in through the floorboards and wraps around your ankles while you're still convincing yourself everything's fine. I didn't serve her the papers right away. No. That would have given her control. Let her brace for it. Spin the story. Craft a version where she's the victim and I'm the distant, joyless husband who never listened. So I waited. I let the silence settle in her bones. Gave her just enough rope to keep texting. Just enough hope to wonder if I'd cave. She tried calling again. Once. Twice. Then 5 times in a row on a Thursday night. That was new. Voicemail number 1. I know you're upset, but we can't just end everything over one mistake. Voicemail number 2. You're being childish. I'm trying to have an adult conversation. Voicemail number 5. Just sobbing. Choked words. Please. I poured myself a drink and listened to all 5 like it was a bedtime podcast. Every tear in her voice was a memory unmade. The next morning, she must have realized she still had access to our shared cloud drive, the one where we kept all our couple stuff, tax returns, scanned receipts, vacation itineraries, emergency contact lists. She uploaded a PDF. Reconciliation proposal. Typed out like a damn business plan. I've been speaking to a therapist. I think we should attend couple sessions. I know what I did was wrong, but we have history. Don't throw it away. She even included bullet points. Bullet points. No contact with Colin anymore. Transparency, access to phone, email, and location. Weekly dinners. We rebuild trust one day at a time. I don't know what was more insulting, her thinking this was salvageable or her thinking I needed dinner dates to forget she sold out 20 years for a few cocktails and a laugh with a walking cologne ad. She called it healing. I called it PR damage control. That same afternoon, I had the divorce papers couriered to her job. Straight to the front desk, signature required. The receptionist, a sweet woman named Jen, gave me a heads-up text after it was signed for. She looked pale, said nothing, just took the envelope and walked back to her office. Damn right she did. See, the trick wasn't just blindsiding her with the divorce. It was when. I timed it. I knew her quarterly review was that week, knew she was gunning for a regional position. The stress? Cranked up. The emotional stability? Already paper thin. That envelope was a grenade disguised as manila. She tried calling me that night. 10 times. This time, she left only one voicemail. You're really doing this? After everything I gave up for us? 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 You mean the guy who bought your first car so you could get to grad school? The one who bailed your brother out when he crashed at rehab for the 3rd time? The one who worked 2 jobs when you wanted to find yourself in Bali for a month? Sure. Us. But I didn't say any of that. I just blocked her number. Again, the next move wasn't hers anymore. It was mine. And I had plans. They say you never really know someone until you divorce them. I'd argue you never really know yourself either, until someone betrays you so quietly, so thoroughly, that your whole life resets without warning. After the papers landed on her desk, the messages stopped. Not for long, of course. Just enough time for her to scramble. To call her parents. Her sister. Maybe even that colleague of hers, Colin. Funny. isn't it? She never said his name until it was too late. Just a work friend. A few drinks. Some laughs. That work friend didn't have to see the aftermath. I did. I had to sit with it. Alone. While she was busy playing Twister with the truth, I was rebuilding. But not from scratch. I wasn't some hapless husband who'd given everything away to play the part of dependable. I'd been watching, even when she thought I was blind. For the past 5 years, I'd quietly funneled side income into a private trust. Rental properties. Dividend stocks. A couple crypto swings that hit big before the crash. She didn't know about any of it. Why would she? She never asked. She never asked about my days anymore. Just hers. Just her stress. Her clients. Her projects. The only time she noticed my schedule was when it interfered with hers. So now? I had leverage. Real leverage. And here's the twist. I didn't want revenge in the courtroom. That's messy. Emotional. And it drags your dignity down to the floor with their apologies. No. I wanted her to self-destruct. I wanted her to crumble under the weight of her own choices, with no one left to blame. And it started with removal. I scrubbed myself from our accounts, everything. Bank. Mortgage. Insurance. I hired a locksmith to rekey the house while she was at work. She didn't even notice until a week later when she tried to swing by and grab a few things. No key. No access. Then came the real play. The social fracture. See, what she didn't know is how many people in her curated world actually liked me. Quietly. Subtly. I wasn't flashy, but I was reliable. Helpful. The kind of guy who'd fix your cabinet hinge while everyone else was posting selfies from the charcuterie board. So I made calls. A few. Not many. I didn't say much. Just enough. Hey, I know things are awkward. Just wanted you to hear it from me. I found out she was seeing someone else. I filed. Don't worry. This won't affect anyone else. I wish her peace. That's all. It was like dropping ink in water. Subtle. Expanding. No anger. Just facts. And silence. I knew the social circles she worshipped would start asking questions. And she'd have no script. No villain to point to because I wasn't playing the role. I was gone. Untouchable. A week later, I heard from a mutual friend. Let's call her Ava. She didn't pick sides. She just knew the truth when she saw it. She's unraveling, Ava said. Tried to spin it like you were distant and unavailable emotionally. But nobody's buying it. And Colin? Word is he ghosted after the papers showed up. That one hit like a well-aged bourbon. Turns out, Colin wasn't in it for the long haul. He liked the sneaking around. The thrill. The lie. But when reality walked in wearing a legal suit and holding a pin, he bolted. The irony? She traded 20 years for a man who couldn't even handle 6 weeks of fallout. Me? I wasn't falling. I was rising. After a betrayal like that, you learn to take inventory, not just of what you've lost, but what you never needed in the first place. I was sitting in the corner booth of a coffee shop that didn't serve anything in paper cups. They had real mugs, real silverware, real quiet. That's what I wanted, real. While sipping the strongest black roast on the menu, I started writing a list on a napkin. Not a bucket list. Not a wish list. A wasted time list. 8 years of anniversary dinners I planned. 5 family vacations I paid for. 20 Christmases where her gifts got more expensive while her affection got cheaper. And at the bottom, I wrote in all caps. Trust, 20 years, gone in one photo. I folded the napkin and stuck it in my jacket pocket like a relic. A reminder. Because even though the storm was behind me, the air still smelled like rain. I checked my phone. Nothing from her. Not a single message in 3 days. Which meant one of two things. She was finally accepting it was over. She was plotting. Guess which it was? That afternoon, Eric, my divorce attorney, called. You're not going to believe this, he said, and whenever a lawyer says that, you brace yourself. She just filed a response. Claims you emotionally abandoned her years ago. Wants spousal support. I laughed. I actually laughed. I could barely breathe. Oh, she wants alimony? I said. After giving Colin a turn on the marriage ride? She's trying to argue she gave up career advancement to support the household. By going to bars with coworkers? He sighed. Look, she's panicking. She didn't think you'd file, and definitely not this fast. She probably thought she'd drag it out and make you beg. I didn't beg. I planned. That's when I told Eric to send the judge a full report of my financial contributions over the years, mortgage payments, groceries, car maintenance, utilities. And for good measure, I included receipts for every luxury expense that had gone on my card. Designer bags, yoga retreats, spa memberships, and one particularly insulting tab, a $900 hotel bill for a business conference she never actually attended. Meanwhile, I had photographic evidence of Colin's little appearances courtesy of the same social media that outed her in the first place. Public photos, tag locations, even a boomerang clip of them clinking glasses with the caption, "This guy." That clip was dated 3 days after our anniversary. What did I say earlier? Inventory. But I didn't go nuclear. Not yet. Because power isn't in destruction. It's in control. I let her make her moves. Watched her try to claw back stability. She even scheduled a mediation session. Maybe we can talk, you know? Close the door like adults, she said in the email. No apology. Just strategy. So I agreed. And I showed up to the mediation with a flash drive, a folder, and the same polite smile I used to give her parents when they'd ask me if I ever thought about dressing a bit nicer for dinner. She walked in wearing something expensive and fragile, both literally and emotionally. You look well, she said, trying to sound composed. I am, I replied. Freedom suits me. We sat down. The mediator began the usual script. I said nothing for the first 10 minutes. Let her talk. Let her spin. Then I slid the folder across the table. Bank records. Vacation receipts. Proof of employment. And the photo. The photo. She froze. I didn't say a word. Just sipped my water. For the first time, she was the quiet one. She didn't touch the folder. Her eyes lingered on it like it might bite. Like maybe, just maybe, she could pretend the evidence inside didn't exist if she never laid a finger on it. But the photo? The one on top? That was already doing its job. Her pupils flicked down, locked onto the screen, then darted back to me. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Tried again. This is out of context, she finally managed. I leaned back in my chair, folded my hands. I'm not here for context. The mediator, per guy, shifted in his seat like he suddenly regretted his career choices. He cleared his throat, gave one of those generic peacekeeping lines. Let's focus on moving forward constructively. She latched onto that like a drowning woman grabbing a life ring. Yes, that's why I asked for mediation. We can fix this. We just need time. Communication. Colin, he's not. Don't, I said sharply. Don't say his name. Silence. I don't care who he is to you now, I added. But he sure as hell wasn't just a friend when you lied to me on our anniversary. She blinked, and for a moment, I almost saw regret. Or maybe just the realization that I wasn't bluffing. That the man sitting across from her wasn't the same one she thought she could guilt, gaslight, or glide past with a few tears. Then came the deflection. You were distant for years, she said. You buried yourself in work. I felt invisible. I needed. You needed drinks and lies. I didn't yell, didn't raise my voice. But the words hit like steel bars dropped on a marble floor. Then I pulled out the flash drive. This is for your lawyer, I said, sliding it toward her. Contains everything. The financial records, your bar tab on the night of the migraine, GPS data from the hotel charges you tried to write off as client meals. You know, receipts don't lie. Neither does timestamp social media. Her face drained of color. You stalked me, she hissed. No, I said evenly. I documented you. And that's when she cracked. All the composure, the courtroom chic persona, the practiced expressions of the victim, it fell apart like damp paper in a storm. You can't just erase 20 years, she spat. You don't get to be the good guy here. I tilted my head. I didn't erase anything. You did. The mediator looked like he wanted to crawl out of the room. But I wasn't done. I gave you trust, I said. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I gave you everything. You gave me deceit in return. She shook her head, hands trembling now, voice rising. I was lonely. You were always too busy, too focused on planning everything. I just wanted to feel something. And you did, I said, cold now. You felt entitled. You thought I'd just take it. Roll over. Be your backup plan. Then I stood. This meeting's over. She started to say something else, but I didn't care. I was already walking out the door. Already done playing nice. That night, I drove home, my home now. The locks had been changed. The silence inside wasn't empty anymore. It was peaceful, cleansing. And when I checked my phone, I saw her name again. One new message. You didn't have to humiliate me like that. I stared at it for a moment, then typed my reply. Neither did you. But you did it anyway. The difference is, I documented it. Blocked. Again. Because some endings don't need closure. Just consequences. It didn't take long for the ripple effect to hit. Actions have consequences, sure, but lies? They have reverberations. Especially when they're painted over with wine and selfies and the kind of public smiles that don't hold up under pressure. A week after the mediation, the rumors started. I didn't start them. I didn't have to. People talk. Especially when they've spent years thinking you're the perfect couple and suddenly she's showing up solo to brunches and pretending nothing's happened, except now there's a manila envelope buried in her purse and her left ring finger is suspiciously bare. Ava called me again. She's unraveling, she said bluntly. Tried to tell everyone you just left out of nowhere. Claimed you're having a midlife crisis or something. Is that so? I asked, smirking. She even implied you were the one cheating. I nearly choked on my coffee. Did she forget about the bar photo? Ava snorted. Apparently that was just networking with colleagues. She's spinning faster than a ceiling fan in August. Good. Let her. I wasn't interested in vengeance through gossip. I was interested in erosion. Her carefully curated image, wife, professional, victim, it was peeling off like cheap wallpaper. And all I did was walk away with the truth in my pocket. Meanwhile, Colin, oh, sweet Colin, was nowhere to be found. Word was he'd taken an indefinite leave of absence. His company's HR department stopped replying to emails. His Instagram went dark. You could practically hear the sound of a man realizing the fantasy wasn't worth the fallout. Guess playing homewrecker is fun, until the house collapses on top of you. Back on my end, I was thriving in silence. I'd moved the last of my things out of storage. Bought furniture that I liked in colors that didn't have to match the vibe. Got a dog copper, an aging mutt with a limp and a bark worse than his bite. We made a good pair. Work was better too. With no one draining my time and energy, I found a groove I hadn't touched in years. My boss noticed. Clients noticed. I was coming back to life. And yet, one night, curiosity got the better of me. I checked her social media. Yeah, I know. She'd changed her profile photo, no more wedding pictures. Just a solo shot, smile forced, captioned with some self-help quote about healing and growth. The kind of thing you post not because it's true, but because you hope someone believes it. Probably herself. The most recent post was the best, though. A quote card. Sometimes people walk away not to hurt you, but because they finally love themselves enough to say enough. I chuckled. If only she knew just how right she was. Except she didn't walk away. I did. And now? Now I was getting ready to reclaim more than just peace of mind. The next step wasn't about her. It was about me. Time to take back my future. Time to rebuild on my terms. Let me tell you something about loss. It's not always about mourning. Sometimes, it's about clearing space. She thought I'd sit in the wreckage she created, sifting through pieces of a broken 20-year partnership, crying over her perfume on a pillow. But I didn't. I got to work. The first thing I reclaimed? My name. No more Mr. and Mrs. on joint accounts, utilities, or credit cards. Every trace of that shared life was surgically removed. I cleaned house like a man who wasn't just starting over, he was purging rot from the beams. Bank accounts? Split, frozen, and fortified. Titles? Transferred. Passwords? Changed, two-factor authenticated. Will? Updated. She was off it before she even finished her next glass of Pinot. The second thing I took back? My narrative. I didn't run around town trashing her name. Didn't play the scorned husband sobbing in public. No. I spoke when spoken to. Calm. Honest. Unshakable. She stepped out of the marriage. I filed. 7 words. That's all it took to flip a dozen conversations. And the beauty of it? People filled in the blanks themselves. The ones who knew her best didn't even ask follow-up questions. Just a slow nod. A hand on my shoulder. A whispered, I always wondered. I didn't need to twist the knife. She did it herself. Meanwhile, I poured everything she drained out of me into a new direction, a business idea I'd shelved for years. A consultancy firm. One I dreamt up back when she said I was too cautious and not ambitious enough. I guess ambition looks different when it's not paying for someone else's bar tabs. I reconnected with old colleagues. Quiet lunches. Cautious meetings. But it grew. Word got around. Turns out, when you're not dragging dead weight behind you, you move fast. By the end of the second month, I had 2 signed clients and 3 more in the pipeline. Money coming in. My own name on the LLC. No joint signatures. No need for permission. One night, I came across an old photo of us at some vineyard retreat. I almost didn't recognize myself. Smiling, sure, but dull around the edges. Exhausted in the eyes. She was clinging to my arm like a trophy she'd earned just for showing up. I deleted it without flinching. Because here's the thing. Once you stop trying to fix what never valued you, you get real clear on what actually matters. Peace, control, and the right to build without being watched and judged. I thought about how many times I'd let her convince me to wait until the timing was right, or maybe next year when it came to my ideas. Funny how fast you can move when no one's clipping your wings and calling it love. And just when I thought the waters were calm, she came knocking again. Not literally. God forbid she show her face. But through the digital crack she forgot to seal shut, a shared calendar entry we used for years to track appointments. She dropped a note in it. We need to talk. Please. That was it. No apology. No ownership. Just a vague request dressed like diplomacy. So I updated the calendar event. Meeting canceled. Agenda concluded. Door closed. And for the first time in years, I felt free. There's something terrifying about being ignored, especially by someone who used to fold at the sound of your voice. She wasn't used to that. I was always the one to bend, to keep the peace, to talk it out. But now she was just screaming into an echo chamber, and all she got back was her own voice. After the calendar message flopped, she went back to the classics. Text, just 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. Email, I know I messed up. I still want to understand what happened between us. What happened? You lied. You cheated. You broke something you thought was disposable. That's what happened. But I didn't type it. I didn't reply. I let her stew in it. She needed to feel the finality. You don't betray someone and then ask for dialogue. You don't torch the house and ask the homeowner if they want to roast marshmallows. Meanwhile, Colin stayed MIA. Guess the thrill wore off fast. No more late-night flirting between spreadsheets. No more secret hotel room key cards disguised as client meetups. Rumor had it he'd been reassigned to another division. Quietly. Internally. Company couldn't afford a scandal. And she tried to rewrite the story. I started getting feelers from mutual friends. The ones who didn't know where loyalty lived. She's saying it wasn't serious. She claims she told you the next morning, but you overreacted. She's hurting too, you know. Of course she is. Narcissists always hurt most when the mirror stops flattering them. But I had something she didn't. Control. I had the legal advantage, the financial advantage, the moral advantage, and most importantly, the emotional advantage. She was playing from behind, without the ball, on a field she didn't even recognize anymore. That's when her tone changed. She tried guilt. You're not just walking away from me. You're walking away from us. From what we built. She tried nostalgia. Remember Italy? The vineyard? That little cabin in Vermont. She even tried bait. I found a letter you wrote me years ago. Do you want it back? I nearly laughed. Of course I didn't want it back. Let her keep it. Let it collect dust next to her excuses. But the real kicker? A handwritten letter showed up in my mailbox. No return address, but I'd recognize that perfume-stained paper anywhere. She'd used it for birthdays, for anniversaries, for seduction. Now, it was a eulogy. I never meant for it to go this far. I don't even know why I did it. I was scared. I was lonely. I didn't think you'd ever leave me. That last line. I didn't think you'd ever leave me. That was the truth. Not love. Not regret. Just disbelief that I found my spine and walked. I folded the letter, set it in the fireplace, and lit the match. Watched it curl and blacken and vanish. Same as the illusion of who she was. She wanted a confession? Fine. Here it is. I did leave. I chose to. And I'll never come back. You can't kill a marriage without an autopsy. And mine. I dissected it piece by piece, quietly, methodically, like I was studying the remains of something I once believed was immortal. I wanted to know when it died. Not legally. Emotionally. Spiritually. When did she check out? Was it that conference in Atlanta where she lost Wi-Fi for 2 days? Or the canceled weekend trip to the lake because she just needed space? Or maybe it was earlier. Subtler. I remembered coming home late one night, exhausted, holding takeout and a bottle of wine, her favorite. She barely looked up from her laptop. Said thanks. Kissed my cheek without tasting it. Kept typing. I thought it was stress. Now I know it was exit strategy. She was phasing me out like bad code. Replace one line at a time. Slowly. Cleanly. So the system doesn't crash before the update is ready. What she didn't count on. I noticed. Not all at once, no. But in pieces. In the way she smiled more at strangers than she did at me. In how she used to talk to me, then started talking around me. In the casual, calculated omission of details. And maybe, I let it happen. Maybe I was so busy being her foundation that I forgot to check if the house was even still standing. But here's the truth most people won't admit. When someone you love betrays you, you don't just lose them, you lose yourself. The version of you that believed, that trusted, that hoped. So yeah, I mourned. Not for her. For him. The man I used to be. He was loyal, generous, patient to a fault. And she fed on him like a leech in pearls. But now that man is buried. And the one standing here, he doesn't carry her baggage anymore. He's lighter, sharper, scarred, yes, but not broken. And while she's out there still trying to gaslight the ashes, I'm building again. Really building. The business is booming. Clients keep coming. Turns out when you're not being siphoned dry emotionally, your creativity doesn't just return, it roars. I signed the lease on a new office space last week. Nothing huge. Just enough for 3 desks, a little conference table, and one frame quote on the wall. You don't rebuild in spite of the fire. You rebuild because of it. I didn't credit the quote. It's mine now. Because everything I'm building? It's mine now. Funny thing about liars, they're terrified of exposure, but they crave the spotlight. She couldn't resist it. Even after the silence. Even after the legal shutdown. She needed to be seen. So she planned a little rebrand. Started showing up at charity events. Posted heavily filtered selfies with motivational quotes. Claimed she was reclaiming her truth. A friend forwarded one of her captions. Healing is messy, but necessary. I've made mistakes. I'm not perfect. But I'm finally learning to love myself again. Translation? Please don't look too closely at the timeline. She started dropping my name again strategically. My ex-husband and I just grew apart. He was always so focused on work. We lost connection. The only thing we lost was me. And the only thing she grew apart from was the truth. So I made a decision. I didn't go public. I didn't post screenshots or drop emails. That's amateur hour. No, I did something better. I gave her audience the receipts and let them connect the dots. I reached out to one of our mutual friends, someone with a foot in both circles, but a spine made of steel. Look, I said, you've probably heard her side. I'm not asking you to take mine. I just think people deserve full context. And I handed it over. The bar photo, the calendar conflicts, the hotel receipts, the GPS check-ins, the voicemails, the texts. Jesus, he said. She's been going around painting you like a control freak who just snapped. I smiled. Now you know I didn't snap. I awoke. He didn't promise to spread it. Didn't need to. The truth moves fast once it's uncaged. By the end of the week, the tone around her shifted. No more sympathetic DMs. No more, you go, girl, comments under her posts. Just silence. Likes vanished. Engagement dropped. Her carefully curated empire of validation? Eroding. Because once the narrative cracks, the whole illusion crumbles. She tried damage control. Posted a long, weepy essay about rebuilding from betrayal, implying, of course, that she was the one betrayed. I didn't reply. Didn't need to. Truth has gravity. And once you let it fall, it pulls every lie down with it. Let her play the martyr in a one-woman show. The audience has already left the theater. Meanwhile, I was busy living. Really living. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was designing my future. And every brick I laid, every wall I raised, reminded me. She didn't break me. She freed me. Let's talk numbers. Because love might be poetic. But divorce? Divorce is math. My lawyer, Eric, guy's an assassin in a suit, sent her team a final offer. An exact breakdown of shared assets, minus everything she'd already burned through or tried to forget she used. No alimony. No claims on my business, which I built after she stepped out. No more joint anything. Just enough to close the chapter without dragging it through the courts any longer than necessary. I didn't want her punished. I wanted her removed. The response took 3 days. Her lawyer called mine with a tone that suggested they'd swallowed a lemon. She's willing to agree, with minor adjustments. They wanted a percentage of my business's projected earnings. Claimed she supported the household, while I set it up. Right. Supported it by lying, cheating, and making passive-aggressive digs about how I wasn't dreaming big enough. Eric laughed. We go to court. She gets half the sympathy and none of the payout. Stick to your line. So I did. 2 more days passed. Then she folded. Signed it. Quietly. No ceremony. No press release on her feed. Just a dotted line and a timestamp. The settlement was sealed. The ink dried. It was done. 20 years closed with the weight of a pin and the kind of silence that tells you this time it's permanent. I poured myself a whiskey that night, my bottle, my glass, my place. No ring clinking against it. No curated background music. Just me. And freedom. But she wasn't quite finished. You'd think after all that, she'd have the sense to let it die. But no. 2 weeks after the settlement, a letter arrived. Not handwritten. Not perfume-stained. Typed. Formal. Emotionless. She was requesting a closure conversation. Said she needed resolution for her healing. Said she wanted to clear the air so we can both move on peacefully. Peacefully? After gaslighting me? After cheating and lying and trying to turn mutuals against me with her teary-eyed? I just made one mistake. Routine? She wanted peace? I read it once. Then again. And then, finally, I wrote my reply. Typed. Clean. Just a few lines. Closure isn't something you ask for after you set fire to the bridge. You had peace. You traded it for adrenaline. I hope it was worth it. Don't contact me again. I sealed it, sent it, and deleted her number. This time for good. Not blocked. Erased. Because revenge isn't winning. It's walking away so clean they can't even recognize the man who left. After I sent the final letter, it was like I'd exorcised something. The weight didn't lift all at once. It evaporated. Quietly. Like the fog she always brought into a room, but disguised as perfume and polite smiles. I stopped thinking about her. Not actively. Not as an effort. It just happened. One morning I woke up and realized she hadn't crossed my mind in days. She'd become a ghost. Not the haunting kind. The forgotten kind. But she didn't forget me. Of course not. A mutual friend told me she asked about me during some brunch. Told the table she hoped I was doing okay. That she regretted how it all ended. She regrets the ending, not the choices that got her there. That's the thing with people like her. They don't miss you. They miss your forgiveness. Your patience. Your ability to absorb damage like it was your job. But that version of me, he's dead and buried, with a gravestone that reads, "Here lies the man who gave everything to someone who treated love like an inconvenience." I've learned since then that peace isn't quiet, it's empty. In the best way. It's opening your door and knowing no one's lying behind it. It's not checking your phone wondering if "I'm working late" is a cover for another betrayal. It's being alone without being lonely. My mornings are mine now. No more walking on eggshells. No more playing detective with my own life. Just coffee, copper curled at my feet, and the sound of nothing. God, how I love the sound of nothing. And yet, here's the cruel irony. She thought I was too calm, too collected, unemotional, she once called me. No, I just saved my fire for when it mattered. And when it mattered, I burned the bridge behind me so thoroughly that even her memory can't crawl back over the ashes. Now I'm planning a trip. Solo. Italy. The real version of the vineyard we once visited together, where she spent more time on her phone than with me. This time, no itinerary. No matching luggage. Just me, a passport, and the kind of freedom you don't post about. You protect it like a heartbeat. I'll walk those hills, sip that wine, and toast not to new love, but to clarity. Because I didn't escape a marriage. I escaped a cage built with silk curtains and fake apologies. And I'm never stepping back inside.